In the last few days, I've been running through the Kirah series by Carol Berg. Book 1 is called Transformation, Book 2 is Revelation, and Book 3 is Restoration. But I will start this review by qualifying that the only one I really read from cover to cover was Transformation. Like the second and third books kind of disappointed me, and I ended up skip scanning through large chunks of it. It's just that since I don't plan to do separate reviews for those two for that reason, I thought I might go ahead and mention some thoughts at the end of this review. So Transformation begins with the main character still in slavery, like he has been a slave for the past 16 years, like he was captured when his homeland was invaded and conquered back when he was 18, like he was one of the main fighter type classes, I guess, that they had in their particular village structure. So his exact job, however, was that he was what they refer to as a warden. So his people are really famous for having real magic. So magic that can cause like actual changes, not just things like illusions and sleight of hand. And he was one of the people who had these abilities, and his job was to go into I guess these mental landscapes that are kind of within people's souls in order to fight demons that take people over and to banish those demons. But when he was captured, like all of his people are have their magical abilities taken away, and he has kind of just had to learn to survive since then. So at the beginning of book 1, he is bought by the crown prince of the empire, which has been conquering like all these different nations, and he's kind of become resigned to his circumstances. Like he lives day by day, like there was an old slave sort of like taught him how to put himself in the kind of mindset where he's not going to drive himself crazy, and he knows how to behave and like comport himself in order to minimize like the possibility of damage. And he tries pretty hard like not to get too invested like in any of the people around him or to care too much about what is happening. It's just his own survival day by day. But things like he isn't really able to maintain this when it comes to his attention, that one of the people at court, like he's currently serving in the prince's summer palace, but one of the people at court turns out to be possessed by a demon, and the only thing that he has really held on to from his past in all these years is his oath to protect humans from demonkind and like the damages that they cause, because demons have a tendency to exacerbate like people's worst qualities. So after some deep soul searching, like he decides that okay, so he doesn't care really about what happened to like the people who conquered his people and all the people at this palace and everything, but he does still deeply care about his duties. So he sets out to try to prevent the demon from getting its way. Like for some unknown reason, the demon is really invested in the crown prince, and like as the two get to know each other, like the crown prince and the main character, like he also starts to find that maybe there are good qualities in this person who seems otherwise to be kind of an arrogant, temperamental dictator type character, I guess, that are worth salvaging, like things that make him have the potential to be the kind of ruler that could actually change the empire for the better. Like there is a reason like demons may be so interested in targeting this person, and as the demons plots progress, like where they get to the point where they start to try to like put curses on the prince and so on, like the friendship it really starts as a developing mutual respect, I guess, between the prince and this new slave that really confounds him, I guess, begins to grow, and it's a relationship that really starts to change, I guess, the prince character for the better. But book 1 follows these two as they struggle against these demons, as the prince learns about demons and like some of the negative repercussions of his empire that he never really stopped to think about. Like, he starts to open his eyes, I guess, to what is happening and the part that he has played and the better parts that he may be able to play in the future. And they, try to deal with this problem and try to save him from whatever the demons are planning. So I really liked book one, even though, so typically when summaries start by telling me that the main character is a slave, I automatically X that book off my read list because it's a premise that I generally expect the story to include lots of things that make me very angry. And, this book isn't really an exception. There's a great deal of descriptions of human cruelty and violence that make me very mad. But I think it helps me get through the story regardless because of the main character's personality. Like, he has come to, over the last 16 years, he's kind of come to terms with things. Like, he has a very level-headed, very calm way of interacting with situations, and I think it's very admirable, like the way he is able to not drown himself in things like hatred. Like, he's good at seeing what's really important and identifying like both the good and the bad qualities and stuff in people and focusing on the things that can really make situations or like the world a better place instead of getting caught up in that whole like revenge or like whatever business, which is something else that tends to X books off my reading list. And I really appreciated the focus on building that friendship. Like, it sometimes feel like a lot of books don't have enough of a focus on friendship lines. Like, I think I always find it enjoyable to see how people come to that kind of mutual respect for one another and understanding and support, and how these kinds of relationships can make both people better and have them end in better places. So yeah, I really liked book one. So I guess I already mentioned what I didn't like, which is related to the whole mentions of like the bad things that people do, etc. I was kind of disappointed by books 2 and 3 because I'm not sure how much I can say without giving spoilers. So if I say book 2 has the main character investigating like what demons actually are and trying to figure out why like his people took it as their personal responsibility to fight demons in the first place, because he has this encounter with a demon where it seems like maybe not all demons are bad after all, and it also seems like there are a lot of clues that maybe like his people's history is tied very closely to the demons' history, and why is that? Like, what is the cause behind all this? And his driving motivation behind finding out is that he has a son who is possessed. So basically, sometimes children in his among his people are born possessed. Like, normally they think that you have to like do evil deeds or whatever to draw demons to you, but sometimes it apparently isn't the case, because children, obviously, when you're just born, you haven't had time to do anything good or bad yet, but when they are born joined with a demon, like his people typically either kill them or banish them. And this, since it is his son and he's seen a lot more of the world and has a broader view of good and evil than he used to, when he had just kind of been in his own people's mindset, he starts to try to figure out what he can do and what he can uncover to hopefully change this custom, because he obviously like wants to be able to be with his son and also does not want his son to turn into a demon or like be really evil or like whatever. Basically, he's trying to find hope for himself on like what his son will be like and what their lives could be like together. But this has him looking into demon history and trying to visit where they live and stuff, and I just kind of, honestly, I found it a little boring, but I can't really explain why without going into too much detail. But I guess suffice to say, I think maybe in some ways, I think they made their demons too normal. Like, I probably would have found it more interesting if they were like just evil, like whatever. It was actually less interesting that it seems like they were more like an actual race. But like I said, there isn't much I can say. And I also, it always irritates me when like you go to another world or like see other races and it keeps going on and on about like beauty. Like, I don't know why, but when descriptions focus a lot on things like beauty and how amazing or beautiful or wonderful things are, like, it gets tiring after a bit. I mean, like, I get it, it looks good, move on, I guess. I don't know. Like, I think it just overall, I found it a little dull. Book 3 was better than book 2. Like, book 3 goes more into the revolution that's going on with the prince and like the various peoples, because like the prince's father, the emperor, was assassinated at the beginning of book 3, and due to circumstances, like the prince ends up having to go on the run, and the main character helps him out, and they try to figure out what to do, since the prince is being hunted, and like the main character still has a strong belief that he's like meant to do something great in the world, I guess, so that you need to find how is this actually going to happen. But it's actually like, even though the revolution line is a fairly major part of the book, it actually spends more time on some of what the main character uncovered from book 2, like further exploration of his own magical heritage and stuff like that. And again, I think I found that aspect kind of dull, and that was at least half of the book, so I ended up skipping quite a bit of that. Like, I did enjoy like the revolution bits and like all the people coming together to overthrow a really corrupt regime. That part was interesting, but I kind of wish that it had gone more into detail on those particular happenings. Like, I would have enjoyed the book more if it had, I guess in some way, because this was a first person narrative, like I might have enjoyed it more if it was third person and alternated between the main character and the prince, because I thought the plot lines, especially once you get to book 3, like surrounding the prince, were actually much more interesting to me. So I do think overall the story ends well, but just another cautionary thing that is one of those series where many characters die.